Football is back, and Man City welcome back Mikel Arteta and his Arsenal team to play the 29th football game of this season, 15 weeks after our last game finished. Now, that is a sentence. At one point, a few points a couple months ago, I never thought I'd say. So the fact I'm able to say it brings me great joy. I'm sure it brings you great joy. And I'm absolutely buzzing. A very good evening to you all, and thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to We're Not Really Here. This is the show that is for you. We know it's going to be difficult for us all to see out the rest of this season and not be able to be there at the Etihad supporting the boys in blue team that we all love. So we made this show to bring you as close to the action as possible, to talk all things City, to talk all things football, with the help of some very special friends along the way. It is an absolute pleasure and literally a dream come true for me to be hosting you through. So thank you for having me. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into it and let's begin our build-up to our first game, Manchester City versus Arsenal, taking place at the Etihad Stadium. The first person I want to welcome you and introduce you to on the show is our very own Kyle Walker. Kyle,
I am indeed. Evening, Kel. How are we doing? I know I'm excited. Football is back.
Oh, mate, I'm sure like lots of us there, we were just watching the cameras roam around the stadium. And just to even see the stadium have a little bit of life again just gave me all them feels. I've been counting down the days to this day since they announced it's
Mate, I've been the exact same. And it was a bit of a worry at first. I think a lot of people worried, what is football going to look like? There's going to be no fans in the stadiums. And as you said, those stadiums look pretty empty. And the cameras, it does look very strange seeing people in there. There's no fans in there as we build up to the Premier League returning. But we're all in our living rooms. We're all in our kitchens, we're in our guest rooms. Wherever you are, let's enjoy this together. We're Not Really Here, the show that brings you the build-up to all of those kickoffs. We might not be able to be in the stadium, but we can still have fun, mate.
So where you are, you're basically going to be across, being the connection between our show and the fans at home, so they can get in touch with you in
They can indeed. So if you're at home and you're watching this and you want to give your opinion, you want to ask all of the amazing guests that we've got on some questions, you want to give your opinion on what's happening in the game, because we're going to be here post-match as well, where you can do that. Just use the hashtag WNRH, all right? And we'll be able to get all of your pictures, we'll be able to get all your comments up, and we'll be able to talk about them, and we'll be able to give all of your questions, as I said before, all the amazing guests that we've got on.
Kyle, thank you so much, brother. Do you think this feels like a new season?
Well, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because it's been exactly 100 days since the last Premier League game. So a lot of players haven't had this amount of time off before, even before a pre-season of going back into from one season to the next. So for me, it does feel like a new season. I keep on saying, oh yeah, last season. And I still mean this season, because City have got 10 games to go. We've still got the FA Cup. We've still got the Champions League as well. So even though it feels like football was so long ago, actually, we're still part of the same season, mate.
I know. I think it'll take a couple of games for us to get in that mindset, and then it will be like we never went away. All right, guys, you at home, you know how to get in touch with Kyle. We're going to keep hearing from you guys throughout the show. And before we get into meeting today's special guest, which I'm very excited to bring to you, let's just go back. Let's recap the season so far and go back to where it all began. It seems like ages ago, but really it wasn't ago. The infamous Community Shield.
Now we finally have the Premier League season back after an unexpected break lasting 3 months. Let's get ourselves up to speed with Manchester City's 2019-2020 season so far, and everything still to play for. After winning every domestic trophy in the previous season, it would be hard to match that level of success, and perhaps more about trying to keep up with their own pace. In the summer, talismanic captain Vincent Kompany left after more than a decade at the club to take on a new challenge in Belgium, while right-back João Cancelo and defensive midfielder Rodri were brought in as new signings. The season kicked off with the Community Shield at Wembley, normally pitting the league winner against the FA Cup winner. As City won both of those competitions, second-placed Liverpool took up the other position to try and win the first available piece of silverware for the season.
They were looking for Kevin De Bruyne, it's nodded down, flicked on and put across the line by Raheem Sterling. City lead from close range off a set piece.
Raheem Sterling's first goal against his old club was cancelled out and the match went to penalties.
And now Gabriel Jesus looks to win the Community Shield for Manchester City, and he does!
When the league kicked off, the Blues made it 7 points from a possible 9 in their first 3 league matches before hosting Brighton at the Etihad Stadium. In terms of the results, it was plain sailing as Sergio Aguero scored a brace to help City to a 4-0 victory. In hindsight though, the bigger news was the injury to Aymeric Laporte, who would end up out of action for the rest of the calendar year and beyond.
Don't know if it's just me, but as much as I'm trying to convince myself that this is the same season, I was watching that going, it feels like an age ago that we were there at Wembley at the Community Shield, and I'm watching Laporte go off that with that injury. It does seem like a totally different time, doesn't it, Kyle? This is the beauty of We're Not Really Here. We are going to have a few teething problems just because this is the first time we're doing it.
So there we go.
We'll go back to Kyle in
back.
just a second because it's...
There we are. This is always going to happen with it being the first one. I am back. I was just talking about how long ago it did feel, but actually, if you think about how much football we had from the Community Shield all the way through towards the Carabao Cup and then to the last Premier League game that we played, it felt like we had so much happening, and then to be starved of it for 100 days, it's one of those where you just kind of have a bit of a reality check and realise that we are still into this season. There is still so much to play for, though.
There really is, of course. We're still well within a shout for the FA Cup, well within a shout for the Champions League. Sadly, Premier League is not all but lost, but it does seem like it is almost just out of reach for this season. Okay, I'm going to introduce the first of 2 very special guests that are joining us on our first episode for We're Not Really Here. The first man was one of my favourite players and was absolutely sensational for us. He is a club hero. It gives me great pleasure to welcome on to We're Not Really Here, Shaun Wright-Phillips. Good evening, sir. Shaun, how have the last few months been for you? So we've got a massive game here to kick things off, Shaun. And my first question that I wanted to ask was finding that rhythm and that match fitness that everyone talks about. How difficult will it be for players to get back up to speed, so to speak, and try and hit the ground running and be as close as to where they were before the season kind of came to that little pause? I mean, Shaun, your sound has just dropped out there, my friend. So we're going to work on getting that back. Kyle, I'm
here,
your
mate. I'm
sound
still
as
here.
well.
I'm still here.
The point that I was going to then go on to ask Shaun about was, and it was touched upon in that recap there, was we saw that injury to Laporte. And of course, we had a massive thing about starting the season without Company. It felt like he could maybe, obviously not take the mantle from Company because it's a tough one to take, but definitely, make a difference in filling the void that he has left. how much has he been missed? And are you excited to see
definitely.
him back?
We did see a glimpse of him being back just before the season, and actually, just before he kind of actually came back to full fitness. So he's had this 100 days. That's the positive of it all, is that now he's had that time away. Hopefully he'll be able to get a full 90 minutes, because when he did come back into the team, he didn't actually get that full 90 minutes. So fingers crossed he's got that and he'll be back to full fitness. And now that the players are back in and everyone's back into training, they've been doing all their individual training. It's probably, hopefully it's given Laporte a little bit more time just to get back to 100%. And then fingers crossed tonight, we don't know who's going to be in the team, if he's starting or not. But if he does, he needs to get back playing, and he needs to to strong up that defence just a little bit.
Yeah, and as you were talking there, Kyle, I've just seen in the corner of my eye a sight that gave me all the blue moon feels. That is the sight of our team, Manchester City, arriving back at the Etihad. As you said, after those 100 days, we've got Leroy Sané there entering. Of course, everyone adhering to the social distancing rules, all wearing masks. I think we saw as well who's coming off the bus. I'm kind of getting as excited.
Mate,
as
honestly,
I would be if I was there.
it's such a strange feeling. It's a strange feeling seeing all the teams coming off the buses. Now they're walking, normally when they're coming off the bus there, they'd be coming down the blue carpet and coming down through City Square and West Reception. And now we're just seeing them walking through there with no fans at all. It feels so strange. Mikel Arteta coming back to the Etihad. We know that he spent so much time there under Pep Guardiola working with this team. And now it just feels weird that he's obviously managing and the head coach at Arsenal, and he's bringing his team to the Etihad. But it feels like a weird occasion because there's no one that can be screaming and shouting, nobody taking pictures, anything like that. So it's a bit of a strange one, mate. I'm not going to lie.
No, it is, and I think it's going to be something we're all going to adjust to. It's definitely going to be something the players adjust to. I think it'll take them couple of games as well to settle into this new way of playing in a new setting. I think we're going to try and see if Shaun is back with us.
Yo, can you
Shaun?
hear me?
Yes, we can. You are back, my man. There we go. It's always going to be these teething problems to begin with. Now, John, I have to ask you, right, because there was an infamous goal scored in 2009 from a previous Arsenal player. He came over to City. The man I'm talking about is Adebayor. And you were the man who got the assist for that goal. What was it like playing in that game, John? And when that moment happened?
Well, it was nice. It was nice to be on the winning team, because I think that year we dominated Arsenal in a lot of the games, the way Mark Hughes had us playing. So to be in that position, and obviously for Adebayor to get that goal was just unbelievable. I felt like the timing was just too perfect, to be honest.
Shaun, what was your reaction when he celebrated the way he did?
Said, I'm not chasing him. I'm too tired. I just run the other way. I'm going to lead him to it. But yeah, it was amazing.
Was it planned at all?
I don't know.
Did he give you a little word up in the dressing room and go, listen, guys, just to let you know, if I do score, it's going to go off? Or was there no warning?
No warning. I don't think anybody saw it coming. We knew, we had a feeling he would run to the fans, but that was if he had scored shooting that way, not if it was like the other side. So I didn't think he was going to follow through.
Now, speaking of that game as well, Shaun, we've actually got a clip here of your goal from that 4-2 win against Arsenal in 2009.
Shaun, I want to talk about your reaction. Was that just tiredness as well, your celebration? What happened there? It's one of those moments where you must have scored and it must have just all hit you. I don't know how I'd react scoring in front of that amount of people, but you can tell on your face that it meant something.
It's that little Now, another man who is used to scoring lots of goals for our team is my second guest for We're Not Really Here. And I'd now like to welcome onto the show club legend Paul Dickov. Good evening to you,
How
Paul.
are we all?
We're better now that football is back.
Yeah, I'm good.
How
I
are
was
you
just worried
feeling?
about Shaun there for a second. I thought he'd fell off his high chair as he was standing there when he disappeared.
Paul, it's an obvious question, but how excited are you that football is back when it looked like a couple of points there? We weren't sure if it
buzzing
would come
for
back at all.
It just looks strange seeing the Etihad empty there. And it's going to be strange for the players as well. But I think for everybody, and speak for you guys as well, Shawnee been involved in football all his life, like myself. It's you've missed it. 100 days without watching football when it's been such a big part of your life for so long has been really strange, and I've missed it. And obviously, the authorities in the Premier League and the clubs have had to make sure that the time's right and everybody's health and safety is paramount. But buzzing for this game tonight. Honestly, I can't wait.
Absolutely buzzing, Paul. Now you have actually played with Shaun, but you also played with Shaun's dad before that. So first of all, how was that? And then I've got my second question for you afterwards, which I'm sure will be.
It makes me feel old, actually, very old. But no, look, I say it all the time. I was so lucky to have a 21-year career as a professional and to start at Arsenal under not just the guidance and the mentoring that Ian Wright gave me. He wasn't just a teammate; he was my hero. And and I say to a lot of people watching Ian as a kid and watching how he trained, how he worked at his game, how hard he worked. I took massive amounts from him, and I don't think I would have gone to have had the career that I had if I hadn't had the years I had with Ian Wright, because he was instrumental in helping me in so many ways. I was a young kid that came down from Scotland and had struggled at times, but his mentality and the time he took out for me as an individual is something I'll never forget. The guy's not just an Arsenal legend, but as a person, he's a legend, full stop for me. And I can't speak highly enough about him.
Now, it's one of those as well, Paul, that whenever you do hear anyone speak of Ian, it's the same kind of response, just this gushing of admiration, respect, and love. Putting that aside, though, Paul, the question on everybody's lips is, who's the better player? Was it Ian or was it Shaun?
Don't worry, you're not going to hurt my feelings. You can say that.
I know. I think I might. It was 100% Ian. Look, I was fortunate. All joking apart, Ian was, I said, he was a top striker. I've never seen MD enjoy scoring goals as much as he did, but work as hard off the training pitch and doing it as well. And when I came to City and seeing Shaun coming through the ranks, you could tell straight away. The very first training session Shaun had with the first team, I don't know if you remember it, Shaun, he absolutely destroyed everybody, and we were all like, wow, this kid's going to be a superstar. And to see the progression that he's made, and obviously gone England and Man City twice, Chelsea, and I think he's maybe took it from his dad as well. Shaun was so quick, so skillful, so talented that I don't ever think I've seen a winger work as hard as he did. He was up and down the pitch. He was helping his fullbacks out. 2 minutes later, he was getting crosses in the box, and But for me, it was just a joy to play with them both.
Well, you both played up front actually in a derby. Now, that's quite a small front. But I mean, just because we'll never experience that. But what is it like to play in a derby? And then, for you guys in that game, what was it like?
Can everyone hear me? For me, going through the ranks at obviously Man City, I played in like the derbies all the way up. So to be able to do it on a big stage, it was just something that we just wanted. Like at times, there was times where fans would come up and say, we can finish in the middle of the table, but we just have to beat Man United. So it was just as passionate to them as it was to us. So it was always like a scar. Play on the big stage and play against it as well. It is the feeling is really indescribable, and the noise when you walked out before the whistle for the warm up, it like sent a chill on your spine and you got shivers and stuff. So it was amazing.
Shaun, do you think that the players are going to miss that with the restart of the Premier League? Obviously, there's no fans in there. There's no crowd noise either. Do you think that that element of having those fans there, that atmosphere, it helps the players?
Yeah, of course, that atmosphere. Players will tell you that fans are like the 12th man sometimes, because some games get really, really tough. And like with the fans behind you, it always gives you that extra kick, like we got this sort of thing. And you just keep pushing through. And the City fans has always been like that in a way. But we've had some experience before at Millwall at the Den where we never had no fans. So I'm hoping that the City players would get on with it like we had to.
Am I right in thinking, did you score in one of those games with no fans?
Yeah, that was my first ever goal for City.
Oh, it was, yeah.
No way. All right, well, gentlemen, we are going to now take a moment to go back to this fixture that took place in December. Of course, it was way down south, down in London, at the Emirates, where Kevin De Bruyne put on an absolute masterclass. How much do you think that is going to be in these Arsenal players' mind coming back to this game?
Of course it will. You know, Kevin De Bruyne, for me, is just not the best midfielder in Premier League. He's the best midfielder in the world and one of the best players in the world. And he's just took his game this season. The previous season, he had his injuries. Every time he came back, he was such an influence in the team. But now this season, he's had a run of games. He's been unplayable, you know, and we can all talk about his vision and his goals and the assists that he makes, but if you see a midfielder work harder than Kevin De Bruyne, or as hard as Kevin De Bruyne, you know, his work rate's phenomenal, and he's the catalyst a lot of the times. You know, and I think sometimes we're playing Aguero up front. We all know Pep wants to press high up, but you watch how many times Kevin De Bruyne is the one that's out pressing the centre half and setting the whole team off and setting little traps. So it'll be at the back of Arsenal's mind about Kevin De Bruyne 100%, but you know, we all know with this City team, if he stopped De Bruyne, which is so difficult, you could have David Silva, you've got Aguero, you know, talking about Levi Sané coming back, Sterling, Mahrez. There's so many talented players in there. And, you know, Mikel Arteta going back, I'm sure he won't just look at stopping De Bruyne on his own, because he'll know the quality that the team's got right throughout the squad.
Well, let's take a moment to refresh our memories and look back at the highlights from the game in question.
Positive sign for the Frenchman. This is a chance for Arsenal, maybe. Fernandinho tries to block the ball, and it's Ederson who goes across to make the save from Martinelli. Mendy tried to get back goal side, as did Fernandinho, and it was up to Ederson. This is coming to the area. Gabriel Jesus gets to the line, brings that across, and it's fired into the net. Early doors by KDB. And Kevin De Bruyne scores before 2 minutes have elapsed. He's dipped over to the left-hand side. Kevin De Bruyne tries to lay this one off. Goal number 2, Raheem Sterling. Kevin De Bruyne, the goal scorer, turns provider as he sets up Sterling on the right for a simple tap-in. Does get the ball from Rodrigo, slightly later than planned. Kevin De Bruyne breaks through. Kevin De Bruyne, second goal for him. And what a peach it was. Delivered low off the assist from Foden. Great build-up from City. And a great goal, whilst Arsenal were waiting to bring on Saka. They will have some added time as well. Here's Phil Foden, left for De Bruyne, tipped onto the post. Looking to complete his hat-trick, he so nearly did. Torreira with a ball over the top of the defence. It's hit first time, wide of the mark by Aubameyang. De Bruyne goes upfield. Spots the run from Sterling, releases at just the right time. Sterling's into the box, Sterling nearly finishes off. He drags that one wide of the right post. That ends Arsenal 0, Manchester City 3. Positive sign for the Frenchman. This is a chance for Arsenal, maybe. Fernandinho tries to block the ball, and it's Ederson who goes across to make the save from Martinelli. Mendy tried to get back goal side, as did Fernandinho, and it was up to Edison. This is coming to the area. Gabriel Jesus gets to the line, brings that across, and it's fired into the net. Early doors by KDB. And Kevin De Bruyne scores before 2 minutes have elapsed.
Tell you what, Kevin De Bruyne definitely deserved a hat-trick in that game. And we had some more of these City players arriving there as that VT was just playing out. Video transmission, that stands for those who might not know what VT means. We saw there how instrumental Kev was, and of course at that time we just lost Arteta to Arsenal. This is very much the master versus the Padawan. How much do you think Arteta's knowledge could impact the tactics of Pep and the way we approach the game today, Shaun?
I think it could impact heavily, but I think Pep at the same time is the master of tactics as well. So I feel he'll have a way around it and hopefully work on something that Arteta hasn't seen, which will benefit. But it's
And Paul, with we had the announcement over this, of course, for his new assistant. Do you think that's a crucial role that has been filled, and we have missed Arteta since?
I don't necessarily think we've missed Mikel. I know Mikel was really close to the players. Doing extra bits of training, some of the analysis things that they've done as well. The players would go to Mikel to see that. But as much as Mikel will know about Pep's strength and the team's strength as well, you just got to look at every other club in the country. They know how Manchester City are going to play. They know the wonderful players they've got, and they struggle to stop them at times as well. So it might give Mikel a little bit of an edge, but I'm always very optimistic about when I watch Man City. I think they're going to win every game, regardless of who they're playing against. And I just think the players that they've got, no matter how you try and stop them, Pep always seems to find a way, to get round that. And they've had lots of time the last few weeks training, working towards one game. Usually you're playing Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, or Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and you don't have that many time to prepare for the games that are coming ahead. And the one thing Pep would have done, he's had weeks with the players now in the fully fit squad to plan for this Arsenal game solely. So it's going to be interesting. The team he goes with and the sort of formation that he goes with, because our record against Arsenal recently has been every time we played them recently, we blew them away.
Pep had lots of positives to say, I was going to say, about Arteta as well. And the fact that Mikel has left Man City, he's moved over there, it does seem, Paul, that actually Pep understands that maybe that's just the way it has to go. Mikel had to take that opportunity, and there's no bad blood between the two.
No, but look, they're still good friends. I think if you listen to Pep's press conference yesterday, he was talking about that he was on the phone to Mikel for an hour and a half, sorting out what red wine they were going to try and drink tonight. So it shows you that they're still very good friends. And knowing Mikel, the little bit that I do, he was always striving to be a first team coach, a head manager, and I think Pep knew that. And he possibly could have done it earlier. There was rumours of clubs back in Spain. I think Newcastle at one point a couple of years ago. Arsenal even before a couple of years ago as well. So I don't think it's been any secret. But I think Pep wanted to stay and learn under Pep and find out and work under the master, as you think. But there's no doubt in my mind that Mikel was always going to go on and was striving to be a manager at another club.
I've been reading quite a few stories in the build up to this game of that Arteta's office would always have 3-4 players in there, and he would be kind of talking them through moments in the game and position. And also apparently he was quite fundamental in Rodri's kind of growth from the start of the season. Shaun, having a coach who kind of really takes that time to harness what you're about and get you into a way of playing, do you get that in every club, or is that quite a special coach to have that? It really, really does. And we will see very soon how this head-to-head does unfold. We have now got the moment we've all been waiting for. The first team lineup in over 100 days. It is here. We can find out what squad and team Pep will be fielding right now. Here it is. So we have Ederson in net. Kyle Walker. We've also got Laporte at centre-back. He's going to be joined by the looks of it by Eric Garcia. We've got Mendy out on the left. In midfield, he's going to be joined by David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne and Ilkay Gundogan. We've also got Raheem Sterling, Riyad Mahrez and Gabriel Jesus completes the lineup. On the subs bench, Scott Carson, Aguero, Zinchenko, Rodri, Sane, Bernardo Silva, Fernandinho, Otamendi and Phil Foden. Gents, some big calls there. No, I'm quite surprised off the back. One with, I think, Eric Garcia and also Jesus starting up front with Aguero on the bench. What were you thinking around the Eric Garcia being placed alongside Aymeric Laporte?
I'm delighted, actually. You know, I've watched Eric for the last couple of years now, but probably longer. And he's always struck me as somebody that can go in and play the way that Pep wants to play. You know, whenever he's come in, even as a 17-year-old, when he made his debut, he's never looked phased at all. You know, he's took it all in his stride. I know that the senior players within the club, and Shaun will tell you this as well, it's when you're a young kid coming through, it's a massive thing to have the acceptance of the senior players. And they all really like him. They all think he's going to be a top player. And it's only a matter of time for me with him. You know, he's still young, he's still learning. But he's got a bit of everything about him for a centre-half. You know, he loves playing out from the back. He's strong in the tackle. He's maybe not the tallest, but he's still good in the air. And he loves competing, which is the one thing, you know, young defenders coming through nowadays. I don't think, maybe I'm a bit old school with this, I don't think they get taught how to tackle properly or to go flying into tackles and letting centre forwards know that they're there. But Eric for me doesn't mind that part of the game either, you know, and I think that's maybe coming over from Spain when he was younger and getting taught the right way. So a little bit surprised. I think Fernandinho's been fantastic since he's had to drop back in there, but delighted for Eric because it's a big chance for him.
One person who doesn't need to fly into tackles is David Silva, captain of Manchester City. But it does look, Shaun, like he's going to end his City career playing behind closed doors with no City fans, which for me is absolutely heartbreaking because he is a god at Manchester City. Everybody loves him. But as a pro, tell me, what is he like? Because David Silva, he's just incredible. Fans think he's incredible. But as a footballer, just how good is he? That's what we want to hear.
We're in it, Kyle. We're now going to be joined by YouTuber Esteemed Company. The tech is on our side, and you'll see throughout the show. It's sometimes been with us, sometimes against us. Is he online now? Is he there?
I'm here. Can you hear me? Hey, hello guys.
Yes. Oh,
thank you. Classic.
What a shirt.
I brought out the big boys just for this show.
It has to be done. First thoughts on the
I like it.
team lineup?
It's fun, isn't it? It's exciting. It's interesting, and I think personally, and a lot of City fans probably feel the same. We needed something interesting to talk about for the first game, and I salivated when I saw Garcia alongside Laporte. That is just absolutely dreamy. It's something I wanted to see for a long time, and I'm happy to see 11 players in a blue shirt again. Genuinely, regardless of who it was going to be, I just wanted football back, and now we've got it. It's a strong team as well. It's an interesting team. I don't think any of us expected it, but I'm excited.
Stephen, you mentioned there the centre-back partnership of Laporte and Garcia. Do you think that actually moving forward, them two, we could see more of them, or do you think we still need to strengthen in that position and fill those huge sized boots of Vincent Kompany?
fulfill Vinny's boots because he's special one-off. But yeah, I think in general, Ferner, and it breaks my heart saying this, but Fernandinho won't be here that much longer. Otamendi as well is getting on a little bit. I don't know how long he's got left at Man City, but he obviously is moving on. And I think in general, we probably will sign someone, but Garcia, I just my opinion, but I think some City fans probably share the same view that he deserves a chance alongside Laporte because he's looked a lot more composed than any teenager should do at this level, given the lack of experience. And I hand on heart believe this is a good chance for him to prove that he could be a big part of City's future, if not at least one of the four centre-back choices for next season. He's got all the ability. He may not be the strongest, he may not be the fastest, but he's smart, he's intelligent, and you can't really teach that. And alongside Laporte as well, who's a lot more physical than he is, they've got a really good balance there. I'm really excited to see this because we could be getting a glimpse tonight of Manchester City's future centre-back partnership for years to come.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing as well. And for those who might not know Stu, but he was so highly thought of from the Barcelona academy. I think he captained from more or less under 12 and 13s upwards until he made the move to City. So I don't think that's to be sniffed at. Another omission from the starting 11, and I'll be honest, I was kind of hoping to see him on there, was Leroy Sané, because I think we know, how much he does bring to the team when he does play and how lightning quick he can be with him and Sterling either side. Do you think we might see him a little bit? Of course, we've not had a chance to see him all season, have we?
We as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see him. I would love to see him. I didn't really think he'd be coming back in the first game, but as Pep said the other day in the press conference, the squad isn't ready. The same 11 isn't ready to play 2 games in a row, in a week. So I suspect we'll see plenty of changes, and there's going to be a lot of rotation during the game and a lot of rotation for the next game. It's just nice to see Sané back in the blue shirt. I think some City fans weren't sure if they're going to see him again for various reasons that we probably won't go into on here, but it is good to see him just around the squad because he's world class. He does what basically no one else can do in the Premier League when he's at his very best. And I think we have missed that this season. We've missed that spontaneity, that excitement, that energy. And Sané, he's a top player. And when he's in the squad, when he's on the bench, we've got more of a chance of winning. As simple as that. I think we'll see more of him now towards the end of the season. And that's only a really good thing because he's special, isn't he?
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for jumping on and joining us. Next time you do join us, you've got a strong shirt game to follow. So good luck following that. One player as well, of course, there is another hero of the club and has been a loyal servant, Sergio Aguero, not in the starting 11. Shaun, do you think that could be a mistake, or have you got every confidence in Jesus, who has had a brilliant season?
I've got all
so
confidence in Jesus. He's done well when he come off the bench, and he's done tremendous when he started. I feel like the decision that Pep's made, he will know the reasons why he did it. But normally, it's never for no reason. So I'm going to believe and trust in what Pep's done with the team, and I believe Jesus will be able to today as well.
Now, it's interesting with Sergio Aguero because, again, we've got these iconic players who've been at City for a long time. Aguero scored the goal that we all remember. But looking forward to the future and looking at this Manchester City team, do you think, Shaun, and Paul, to be fair as well, as a striker, do you think that Gabriel Jesus can step in and score all of those goals that Sergio Aguero provides for us?
Look, it's going to be difficult to score the amount of goals that Sergio done, but I do believe that if he's not already, that Gabriel Jesus is going to be a superstar. I've said that from day one. When we first brought him in, he hit the ground running. Then he struggled a little bit with injuries, but his mentality is fantastic. I feel like he's playing second fiddle to Sergio Aguero. He never spits his dummy out about that. Whenever he gets his chance, he comes in. I think his goals to game ratio for a 21, 22-year-old is ridiculous. And he's always a threat, and I think for years to come, and he's only going to get better. When he was 19, 20, he was always number 9. How many people can say that? So that shows you, how much talent the Brazilians have got, and he's in there leading that line, and I'm sure he'll do that for Man City for years and years to come. And but going back to Aguero not playing, I genuinely believe that these last 9 games that we've got, that is going to see a lot of changes in keeping everybody fit, especially looking forward to the Champions League games coming up. And not saying we're conceding the title to Liverpool just yet, but it looks as if that's gone just a little bit. But Pep's got the luxury now of having everybody back fit and maybe planning and picking and choosing what players play in what games, keeping them fresh, keeping them fit, keeping them hungry, possibly looking forward to the end of the season in August when the Champions League starts again.
Pep touched upon that in his press conference, actually saying that, once we do get going here, it is going to be a game more or less every 4 days. So squad rotation really going to be key. I think we're going to go to Pep's press conference from yesterday in a little bit. Let's see what team Arsenal are putting out then against City. Of course, we've got Leno in net there, Bellerin, Marion, Mustafi and Tierney at the back. Xhaka in midfield with Guendouzi, Nikita, Willock and Saka then also complete the front three there with Aubameyang in front of them. Strong team. I wanted to begin with straight away. I don't know if anyone saw this yesterday, that there was apparently almost a deal agreed, I think back in before he made the move to Arsenal, for Aubameyang to come to City, only for Pep to veto it at the last second. What team could we have been looking at had we had Aubameyang, Jesus and Aguero? Just let's live in that moment for a second.
I mean, we already know what of an attacking team we've already got. So adding Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang to that would be absolutely incredible, let's be honest. But who knows? Maybe he's hinted that Arsenal might not be the club that he stays at for the rest of his footballing days. So possibly it could be a move up north to Manchester, but as well across Europe, he's going to be looking at his options, and that is one player which can do damage. So a lot of Arsenal fans and City fans have been joking about what score it might end up tonight with City's attacking force, but with Aubameyang, he could definitely get Arsenal some goals.
Yeah,
it'd be a definitely.
No, he's a top player,
Paul.
Aubameyang. But I think, if you look back with saying that Pep vetoed the deal, I think that was more of an age thing than nothing to do with an ability thing. If you look at the players Pep's brought into the club and the ages there, just speaking about Jesus, Zane, even Rodri, Bernardo Silva, John Stones when he signed, Mendy, Ederson, they've all been at sort of late teens, early 20s. And, I think when Pep signs his player, he signs them for a long time, looking into the future. And I think it was Aubameyang's age, if anything else, what it was doing. And honestly, I think Aubameyang is a fantastic player, but I don't think he would get into Manchester City side. Who would you leave out?
True, very true.
Yeah.
No. It's so true. You couldn't, would you really? Be like, well, you might get your chance again. You just stay there for a second. Shaun, you mentioned it before as well about the improvement that you've seen under Arteta. But one thing that I picked up on, and you'll have seen it in their friendly game, their midfield didn't look the strongest. It's kind of where they lost the ball, and I think Brentford countered attack 2 or 3 times. Of course, for us, that's kind of a dream scenario. So do you think that's a weakness there in Arteta's side, is Arsenal's midfield?
I wouldn't say so much is a weakness, because he does have some good players in there. But I feel like the way Man City do play, if the midfield is there to be exploited, that you can guarantee people like Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva will definitely exploit those weaknesses. But I feel like
I've been happy with Arteta so far. I think he's done. He's come in. I think every Arsenal fan recognises that we've still got a long way.
Someone started talking. So I do have that in the bag, Nick. Don't worry about it.
I've been happy with Arteta so far. I think he's
going to get. He's going to get his throwing his voice.
I think every Arsenal fan recognises that we've still got a long way to go.
He's made a surprise booking here without anyone realising. I'm checking my call sheet going in.
So it's all about getting the best out of those players. And up until the whole stoppage for the coronavirus, we were actually playing all right. We was unbeaten in 2020, and we.
I actually had the pleasure of interviewing Robbie early this season, Kel. So it'll be good to listen to his thoughts, because we all know him from Arsenal Fan TV. We know what Arsenal fans can be like. So I'm sure he'll be very outspoken about this Arsenal team. But he's a great guy, and I can't wait to hear his thoughts later on.
Where was his head at when you did speak to him earlier?
Well,
on
it was
the season,
an interesting point, I think, for Arsenal. We've seen that Mikel Arteta's come in, and obviously we've seen the end of Emery as well, and actually how that did end. I feel like with Arsenal, it was one of these teams growing up that we all looked at the Invincibles, we looked at the fierce rivalries with Manchester United, and as a City fan, I could definitely understand those rivalries because I had them as well with Manchester United. So I felt that, and seeing Roy Keane go against Patrick Vieira, those were the glory days of Arsenal. So I think there's a definite frustration for Arsenal fans right now because they've seen where they can be and they want to be back up there. They don't want to be a mid-table team, and they've got the resources to be better than that. So I think a lot of Arsenal fans know they can do it, and they just get frustrated because they're not seeing that on the pitch.
I feel that, but I will say to Arsenal fans, like I say to United fans and all other fans, you can sit in your frustration because we used to sit in it for a lot longer than most of these fans did. So enjoy the frustration. We heard him, but I think we can now see him. Let's see what Robbie Lyle had to say for Arsenal Fan TV.
Yeah, been happy with Arteta so far. I think what he's done is he's come in. I think every Arsenal fan recognises that we've still got a long way to go to catch up at Manchester City, but we got the players that we got at the moment. So, it's all about getting the best out of those players. And up until the whole stoppage for the coronavirus, we were actually playing all right. We was unbeaten in 2020 and we'd won our last 3 games. And, everybody's been pretty optimistic about Arteta. He said the right things. He seems to be a guy that's driven, hungry. He's been a breath of fresh air, and he knows all about the club. And he was there at Arsenal, won the FA Cup at Arsenal, so he knows all about the club. A couple of friendlies, we played one friendly against Charlton where we were 6-0, and we was all thinking, this is great, we're on our way. Right? And then the very next friendly, we played Brentford, and we got beat 3-2. And some of the mistakes we made in that game, if we make those against Manchester City, we'll get punished badly. So it kind of keeps everybody's feet on the ground. It makes people realise that if you make mistakes against a team of the quality of Manchester City, you're going to get punished. So I think the friendlies have gone well. That defeat in December, I think, was possibly the worst performance of the season. Well, it was the manner. I really felt that City in the second half just sort of said to themselves, you know what, won the game already. Let's not get no injuries or nothing. Let's just get out of here. Go back home. It was that easy. I don't expect to see that tonight. I expect to see, because the teams under Mikel Arteta have showed a lot more fight. And I think Arteta's going to want the team to perform. He's going back to his previous employers, Guardiola. He's going to want to show them that, he's doing something there. So I'm hopeful that he's going to not accept that really poor performance against City where we just... I don't think anybody's going to know what state any team's in until they take the pitch. It's going to be a weird feeling for us. It's going to be an advantage for us going to the Etihad, the fact that, not going to have all the fans there and stuff like that. The better teams, though, still seem to win. I don't know. I think it will work in our favour tonight, but obviously we're not the better team, so it's not going to work in our favour. But, it gives us a little glimmer because we've had such a poor record at the Etihad. Why not go there with no fans? Let's try it that way, see if it works out. I think this game is way more important for us than it is for Man City because I think City are going to definitely get in the top 4, obviously, and they've got bigger fish to fry in the Champions League. So, but for us, these games, every single game from now till the end of the season for us is a huge game. We need to win.
Thank you so much.
I think it
Robert,
was
really
when you did a press conference the last time you were due to play Arsenal, you
especially
suggested that you weren't keen on the
no
idea.
one quite knows how their team is going to look after not playing for so long. We've not got long till we do find out. Let's go and hear from our man in charge, our man, our boss, Mr. Pep Guardiola. Here's what he had to say in his press conference yesterday.
I think it was when you did a press conference the last time you were due to play Arsenal, you suggested that you weren't keen on the idea of playing matches with no spectators. given that is where we are now, is that still the same, or have you accepted that as how it has got to be?
Well, Simon, I think when in that moment, the comments what we have done, nobody expect what happened. Not even the doctors, the best scientists in the world could expect what happened in this situation. The reality is important the health of the people, but at the end, the Premier League, like in Spain and Germany and other countries, not in France, not in Belgium, not in Holland, but the side we have to play, we are going to play. And as quick we adapt, to the team or the players, as a human being, we are going to adapt as quick as possible, better will be.
Hi, Pep. What shape are the players back in? I mean, obviously, it must have been very strange for them to be training alone for such a long time. How did they come back into the training ground, both physically and I suppose mentally? Because it has been a difficult period, hasn't it, for everyone?
But they come back really well, so we don't have absolutely any complaint. What we were worried is these 3 weeks, with incredible lack of the preparation, like in other teams in the Premier League, not like, for example, in Germany or in Spain, that they work 5 or 6 weeks. With all the teams in the Premier League, they have just maybe 3 weeks, 3 weeks and a half. Of course, we know it's not enough, but it's what it is.
Thank you, Simon. Hello, Pep. I know it's very different circumstances, of course, but how much are you looking forward to going up against Mikel Arteta?
So excited.
Are you concerned about the secrets he might know about your team?
He knows, I know. As much as secrets that we have, he doesn't play, I will not play. So this game belongs to the players. We can suggest some things, but at the end, the players make a difference. If the players are better, they will beat us, and our players are better, we will beat them. But of course, we know each other. He knows absolutely everything of us, because it's the same what we are with the moment he was here.
When did you last speak to
him? We sent a message 1 hour and a half ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us what that message said?
Of course not.
Fair enough.
It's about the wine. It's about the wine we're going to drink after the game, if the social distance allows us to drink it.
Get the priorities right. Yeah. Thank you, Pep.
Yeah, of course.
I love the idea if that message had been like Arteta going, just tell me who's the front three, Pep. Just tell me those three. That's all I want to know.
He was very secretive about what the message actually was going to be, and then he let it slip a little bit, saying hopefully they can social distance and have a bit of red wine. And they're talking about what that red wine will be. I love that. Two managers about to face off against each other at the restart of the Premier League. They don't care about the football. They care about the wine.
Priorities, isn't it?
Priorities. Paul, you partial to a red or white?
I like a little bit of both, mate. Mainly a little bit of red. It's the only red thing that's in my house is the wine, so there you go.
Yeah, I like it. Great answer. Now, we've all been spending a lot of time indoors, obviously, because lockdown has created this really kind of few months for us all. Obviously worrying in parts and has been a little bit tough for people to deal with. But I think within that, there have been some really great moments as well. I was just wondering, gents, have you had a particular highlight or a moment in lockdown that brought a smile to your face, or you were just like, only could this happen in lockdown? I mean, this is mine. If you could see behind me at home, I've almost had to set up a full studio in my living room, and presenting a show for We're Not Really Here is something I never thought I'd do. So we'll start with you, Kyle, and then we'll do Paul.
For me, there's been lots of things that obviously have happened during lockdown, but one that happened recently, he does play for our main rivals, Manchester United, but all the amazing work that Marcus Rashford has been able to do, it's been incredible. I think that at times footballers do get a lot of stick, whether that's in the media, the government have been outspoken about them. And this is a young man from Manchester, from Wythenshawe. I'm from South Manchester myself. this is a young man that has actually done something that is going to help millions of people and millions of young people, I should say, children. He's going to feed them throughout summer. So that's been the highlight of this entire lockdown, is seeing that people are doing stuff to actually help each other.
Paul, what about you?
Yeah, I've actually quite enjoyed it. I do a lot of travelling with the club and being away a lot, so it's actually been nice being at home with the family. Although I think my wife Jan's probably ready to strangle me and kick me out by now. I think she's ready to me go and travel again. But no, it's nice being at home. Probably get myself fit again. I've never ran as much since I played, I don't think. Getting out there and clearing the head and doing a bit of exercise, and it's just been nice being at home with the family. And I've actually been out in the garden doing a bit of gardening as well, which has never been known. So, but I think if we're talking about highlights and what people have been doing, I think the amount of support the NHS has been getting, as Kyle said there, with Marcus Rashford, and in a sort of bad and testing time that it's been for everybody, the amount of good and the amount of help that people have wanted to do, and the amount of help that football clubs, football players, and just the general public have been doing to help people out who have been struggling. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it really has. I think it's always in these moments, actually, the toughest and darkest moments really brings out the light and the best in people, and brings out the best side of society for sure. Shaun, how about you? Okay, thank you, Shaun. Thank you, gents. We are now going to welcome someone who's had literally an out-of-world experience during lockdown. She is a colleague that's based over in America. Ariel, if the tech is on our side, are you with us?
Yes, I'm with you. How are you doing?
Ariel, very, very well, thank you. So just for everyone watching, tell us where you are and what it is.
Well, I actually do all our social and digital content in the States. So usually I am in New York City. So that's where I spent most of lockdown. And I'm currently in Miami, Florida, but really I'm in front of this brick scarf wall.
So we wanted to get you on because, like I say, you had quite an amazing experience happen over the last few months. Tell us about that.
Obviously, there was a big SpaceX / NASA launch here in Florida. And as I was watching it at the end of May, I noticed that one of the pilots of this rocket, or whatever the proper terminology is Colonel Doug Hurley. And I noticed that he was following the Manchester City US Twitter account. And so when I looked a little bit deeper, I noticed that his entire social media is just following Man City. He follows reporters that we all know. He follows all players. So he was a massive fan. So if you recall, they tried to launch one day, but the weather didn't work out. So I sent him a message and I chatted with him a bit. And he said his favorite players were Kevin and David Silva. So we were able to get this really cool good luck message to him. But by the time I sent it to him by Twitter DM, they had successfully launched. So the coolest part is that 4 days after that, we got a DM from him saying that he was thrilled to hear from the guys. And so I believe it is the first Twitter DM that Manchester City has received from outer space. And so he's still up there circling the globe, sending photos of how the world looks from his vantage point, and looks pretty blue.
That is epic. Ariel, I'm just going to throw it out there. Now, I believe that the signal up in space is probably quadruple times, 100 times better than what we get down here because he's next to the satellite. So with this being said, could there be a world in which Doug could come on We're Not Really Here on a live stream from space?
You know, one of the things that you never expect working in football is to be contacting NASA about things like that. So the club has been in touch by NASA, and we're hoping that we can at least get Doug some highlights or some live games for sure. So definitely working on it.
Ariel, no pressure, but you've got to make it work. You've got to make sure that Doug can get on. We're not really here, all right? So no pressure, but that's what we want before the end of this season.
Challenge accepted, Kyle.
Ariel, thank you so much for joining us from the States. Enjoy the game, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you in further episodes. Shaun, would you fancy a trip to space at some point if it ever became a genuine option, which seems like it's not that far away?
You're the height, Shawnee, aren't you?
You have to be this tall to ride into space. I got a question for you both that I wanted to ask was who would be the best and who would be the worst teammate to spend a concrete amount of time up in space in the space station? We'll begin with you.
Present company excluded.
Oh.
The best would be Shawnee, because obviously I'll be taller than him, you know, and he's always got this thing. He keeps thinking he's taller than me, so I could just batter it into him that who's actually the tallest once and for all. The worst, it would come across the best and the worst would be Ian Bishop, and I think Shawnee would know that as well, you know. But one of the funniest guys you'll ever meet in your life, and loves a practical joke. So I used to room with Bish and I had to sleep with one eye open because you never knew what he was going to get up to next. You know, you could never relax. But yeah, I'll probably go with it too.
Shaun? Why?
You might learn something. You've got a lot of time. You might learn something.
I was just thinking there as well. Do you want to come on? We're not really here, Shawnee. Whoever's on the phone.
All around the world, together, we have been facing a health emergency.
We're nearly at the end of
Heroes have risen to challenges they had never
I just want to take a
imagined.
moment to talk
Many
about
have suffered enormous loss.
City's football shirt. Now, usually you'll know that we have controversy there with now today. That won't be the case. Because Citizens Giving is going to replace Etihad Airways. And this is an initiative that's been set up by the CFG, so not just by City, but by our holding group. And it is a part of using all of the clubs around the world and using their resources to help as much with the COVID-19 appeal and also raise some much needed funds. So that is the sponsor you're going to see across the shirt. That is the initiative in which we're talking about. Kyle is demonstrating for it lovely there. Choose Citizens Giving for recovery. And I believe we've got a little film here now just to show you exactly what it is all about.
All around the world, together, we have been facing a health emergency. Heroes have risen to challenges they had never imagined. Many have suffered enormous loss.
Now it's time to help our communities get back on their feet.
Now is the time for City Football Group. Our 9 clubs, thousands of staff, and millions of fans to make a difference. Giving our time, giving our expertise, giving our resources, and giving our voice.
Now is the time to come back together for recovery. Today, we can look forward and make a positive difference.
Citizens Giving for Recovery. Get involved. Donate now.
Please do get involved and help in any way you can. Okay, 15 minutes before kickoff, so our time is nearly up. Before I go, though, gentlemen, score predictions, please. Sean? Love that.
3-0,
Paul?
Man City. At half-time.
Oh, at half-time, I was going to say 3-0. I'm not going to go
3-0. I'm joking.
I like the confidence there. I'm going to say 3-0. I'll go with Paul's as well.
Strong. Love that. Very confident from us all here in the We're Not Really Here studio. Okay, 15 minutes till kickoff. Go and get those pre-match preparations in place. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the return to the game that we all love. And you can come join us here afterwards the game. If you come online a couple of minutes after that, we're going to bring you all our post-match commentary and look at the game, and we'll also hopefully get some player interviews as well. Enjoy the game. Gentlemen, thank you so much, and we'll see you at full time.
See you after.
On behalf of everyone at City, we stand together with the fight against racism.
This is a moment for all of us to use our platforms
and our voice to speak up and do more.
Let's work together for a better and more equal future.
Black Lives Matter.